man. All right, what's up, man?
Hey, what's up, brother?
Oh, man, here we go. First episode.
Here we go.
Long-term
stories. Yeah, let's go.
Yes, sir. Fresh off the Royal Rumble weekend, right? Lots of stuff to cover.
Right, that was a lot to cover.
Yeah, too. My bad, man. You got a little bit of feedback there. What were you saying?
No, you're good. Nah, that was all the matches were actually pretty good. Honestly, I think the worst match had to be the DIY match, but that match was pretty good too.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy just because it's like it seemed like an afterthought, but unfortunately, it wasn't a bad match. It's just that there's so many things happening. So
yeah, for sure,
clearly 100%. Got lost in the shuffle. But yeah, first thing first, man. I'm glad you're here on this first and inaugural
Thanks for
episode.
having me. Yeah, I'm glad to be here, man. You know, we're gonna take this all the way.
Yes, sir. And crazy thing is, like, you know, we always been talking about wrestling, and it's you know, like on a daily, but finally making it happen, doing an actual podcast, you know, talking about stuff that we like and enjoy. But good Lord, man, lifelong fans, I knew you for a minute.
For sure.
You know, we day ones. So
day ones, you know,
yeah.
Day ones.
I guess you can say, like, you know, there's no other person I can't say, like, I would rather start this off with than, you know, you know, and this is a pretty great opportunity for us. So here we go.
It is 100%, bro. I totally agree.
Yeah, of course, I'm here repping my little Royal Rumble hat, got from San Antonio. Obviously, nice. Off the heels of the Royal Rumble this past weekend, and go to represent. So we got Jey Uso winning the men's Rumble, and we also got Charlotte winning the women's Rumble. So how are we feeling about that?
I'm gonna start off with Charlotte. I'm not gonna lie, not a fan. It was almost too obvious that she was gonna win, especially like a lot of people have pointed out. They gave her that whole fireworks show, and you know, there's I've been saying it. You know, there's memes out there about how she's like the infinite Money in the Bank winner, and now she's apparently the infinite Royal Rumble winner. Well, she doesn't win it infinitely, but like they put in the graphic during the Royal Rumble, right? She's been in every Royal Rumble she's been in. She's always been in the top 3, and she's won 2 of them. And you know what I mean? She's been out for a year. And for her, I mean, I know that was probably always part of the plan, but it's just there was so much talent that went into that Royal Rumble, the women's Royal Rumble. I feel like it could have gone to somebody else. I can't definitively tell you who it should have gone to, but I mean, some of the girls showed out, man. Roxanne showed out.
Roxanne did show out, man. And you know what? To your point, like I agree. Like I am mixed about Charlotte winning. I think they got it right with Jey.
For sure.
You know, I'll obviously talk a little bit more about that. But yeah, that women's Rumble, like the names, the who's, they had them lined up, and I thought
they had them lined up.
I thought it was a difficult call just to see like who you wanted to win as opposed to who you thought was going to win. Yeah, I might have felt like Charlotte was kind of like the, you know, I guess like the easy choice, so to speak, because, you know, her coming off of that injury, like almost a year out. And I think storylines are actually going to be pretty good, knowing that she's got some options here. Do I think she's going to go after Julia? I don't think so.
We know she isn't. No,
you know,
no, she's not.
I think we kind of talked about this last night, just through chat. Like, you know, she's going through the protocols, right? Like, she has to just kind of like visit a little bit of like all the brands with all the champions for a second, and before she makes her actual decision. But I think there's also grounding for her to choose Tiff, you know, Tiffy time, and try to go after that SmackDown title. But truth be told, I think I wouldn't mind seeing the trilogy. Run it back.
I think I'll be honest. I think they're gonna run it back with Rhea, just the way it's looking right now. Because if you really look at it, Tiffany Stratton, even though everybody cheers for her, Tiffany Stratton technically she's a heel, right?
Right.
And that promo that Charlotte cut on Monday Night Raw, it really did come off like she was trying to be a face, and bro, she was getting booed out the building. So I don't know. I don't know if they can, you know what I mean? I don't know if they could put a heel versus a heel and make it work. I mean, of course, they're trying to make Charlotte the face in that situation, but everybody's going to be cheering for Tiffany Stratton, I'll be honest.
Yeah, I could definitely see that happening. She's kind of over. At the same time, I think
She is.
Charlotte, she's embracing the hate. Like, specifically cutting that promo on Monday Night Raw. She's talking either boo me or woo me. It's like, hey man, I don't mind her.
Yeah.
Like I think she does great either way. Probably better as a heel, but I think for the most part, I would not mind seeing a trilogy. I think the timing's right. Rhea's at like the peak
Yep.
of her career right now. She's got like, like she got a great fan base. Everybody's like on top of that. And,
She does.
Mommy's on top. So nothing but like going up against Flair, who's also claiming to be the top one. So I think there's got a lot of footing on that one. And
I do.
I know.
Yeah,
like
I feel the same way.
Yeah, like the Tiffany thing though, it would kind of leave like a little void there, questioning as far as who's going to take on her at Mania. But I think for the most part, Charlotte clearly mixed emotions. But going from that Rumble to the men's Rumble, consensus here, Jay? Yeet, no.
Hey, personally, it's a yeet for me. But the only thing I will say, and this is something I was thinking about, like earlier today, some little bit yesterday, I'm a little concerned for Jay's rise to become, a main eventer. I mean, he is main event Jay Uso, but you know what I mean. This is something we see year after. Yeah. So it's like something we've seen in the past already, where just some guy who's trying to make it. They're on the cusp of becoming a main eventer. They're just about to break through, and they're trying to figure out their little niche area on how to get to that next level, and they finally figure it out. And then they have the crowd behind them, like massively, like Daniel Bryan, right?
Absolutely.
Who else? Cody Rhodes.
Yep.
Last year, we're looking at the exact same situation that we had Cody in last year, right? Cody was he was over. He was so over with the fans, and they were chanting the exact same thing. And when I watched, I didn't get to watch all of Raw last night, but the parts that I did see, which got me worried, is when started chanting "You deserve it." And personally, that's not a good sign to me. Only because look at where Cody is now. Cody, don't get me wrong, Cody's a good champ, but a lot of people would say that his championship run has gotten a little stale, and I feel like that's a possibility with Jey Uso, especially after that less than stellar delivery with his brother at WrestleMania last year. He's definitely gonna have to step up his game as far as getting more moves in his repertoire. I'm not saying he can't do it, bro. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm pretty sure he can pull it out. I have full confidence in Jey Uso, definitely bringing his A game. But yeah, now it worries me a little bit. But I think he can do it.
You're talking about the moveset. It's crazy because I think with tag team matches with him and his brother, like they're so on point. The chemistry's there. I think like whenever these like matches with like the New Day, and I think that rivalry specifically, right? Like they put out, and at the end of the day, Jay as a single star has some flaws. I'll say that. And
yep.
I think personally the whole package of Jay though has fully shown that this guy truly does deserve the spot. Winning the Rumble, going to the main event. Clearly, main event. Jey Uso is his name. It won't make any sense if he ain't ever going to main event WrestleMania. So to that point, I think they got it right this time. Like I know there's a lot of mixed emotions, but like the way I look at it, I'm like, all the people that probably hands all these criticisms probably didn't pay a dime to watch the show.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Like I was trying to cut you off, but I was reading I forgot, it was either in like a YouTube comment section or it was on Reddit, or I was reading this somewhere, but somebody had wrote something and it made a lot of sense. The IWC crowd and the crowd that actually pays to go to see the actual events, you know what I mean? Like two different crowds. If you really look at it, the IWC community, especially the people that only talk online, you know what I mean? Like they're really not invested in going to the events, or not really wanting to go to the events. They just want to speak on it, watch her on TV, and then that's about it. Bro, you can never satisfy them. But the crowd reaction is so much different. They're 100% behind him.
Oh yeah, man! Like that 75, whatever 70,000 plus attendance said otherwise. The night after at Raw said otherwise. Like, I wouldn't even be surprised. Like, some of these guys that are hating were probably illegally streaming it, even though it's like not that expensive to watch on Peacock. I think Peacock even has like a free version, so it's like all the criticism is not validated, by these guys that don't even want to spend a dime to attend to these events. But nonetheless, I think with Jay though, it's surprising that he cut the promo, or he actually talked about, I think, in the post Royal Rumble PLE, like he was almost set on going after Gunther, right? And I think we're in for a swerve, man. I really think Jay's gonna pick Cody.
I think so too. I'm calling it right now.
Yeah, I think there's enough footing for that, just because, I think the other part of it too is like right now we think it's Cody. What if it's not going to be Cody? What if it ends up being somebody else? Or something happens at Chamber where maybe Gunther loses the title and ends up on somebody else. Who knows? But I think there's possibilities here. I think that's a great thing, having Jay winning it. I know Cena was the last guy with him. There's a possibility Cena wins Chamber, but that's on another topic here. So yeah, I think it's suiting that. Speaking about Jey Uso, I take off this Rumble cap and line it up with this WrestleMania, just cause.
Nice.
On the road to Mania, going to Vegas, but nonetheless,
man.
Speaking of going back to the Rumble here, there's a gang of surprises, right? A lot of big moments. What was it for you? What's the biggest surprise?
I think my favorite had to be Liv Morgan, hands down, was my favorite.
Really?
The Rumble.
Which specific?
Yeah.
Like Liv just being there.
I'm not sorry, not Liv.
I'm talking about her doppelganger, the person who eliminated her.
Yeah. Alexa. 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 Sorry, I got them two mixed up. Alexa was my
totally justified.
I purposely tried to avoid reading spoilers for who is potentially coming to the Rumble. So I was very pleasantly surprised when I saw Alexa Bliss. I mean, I was kind of thinking they were trying to pull a swerve on us, especially with her whole posting on Instagram that they couldn't come to an agreement and all this other stuff. I felt like that was the timing was kind of weird. I was hoping to see her, but if they couldn't make it happen, they couldn't make it happen.
Well, the dirt sheets, man, the dirt sheets, I think, really played a big role in this, and they set up that expectation, Alexa might not show up. So I'm like, okay, but take it with a grain of salt. I think a lot of us kind of learned with some, not all, but for the most part, WWE has been pretty good with not leaking information, especially if it's something that is supposed to be a surprise, which clearly Alexa ended up being a huge one. Probably the biggest pop of the night, and I agree with you. Like, in terms of the women's Rumble, probably my favorite surprise. I would say men's Rumble. Bro,
I'll be honest. Men's Rumble, the biggest surprise for me was just Jey Uso winning.
Really? Okay.
I honestly, I did not see that coming at all.
Okay.
I was thoroughly convinced that if Cena didn't win it, it was gonna be Punk.
Okay.
That they were finally gonna give Punk his time to, you know what I mean? Give him his time to do his WrestleMania match, give him his time to shine. And as much as Jay knows, who's gonna be on our podcast eventually, that within the past few years, I have not been the biggest CM Punk fan. But I will give credit where credit is due, because he's really helped out elevate a lot of the talent. Yeah, and I figured, hey, you know what? No year better than this year to give Punk his flowers and let him do his thing. I do realize Jey Uso is super over, and I would have still been okay with them just having Jey Uso have a solid year as the US champ, or you know what I mean? Something right below the main event before taking him to that next level next year. I would have been okay with that. But yeah, to me, honestly, the biggest surprise was Jey Uso winning. I was so sure that Cena was gonna beat him, that Cena was gonna get him out. But when I saw Jey won, I stood up. I was like, "Whoa, Jey won! That's cool." You know what I mean? And
It was a
in,
legitimate
in a world.
surprise. It was a legitimate
Yeah, yeah,
surprise.
it was. It was. And you know what? In a world where we have all these dirt sheets and spoilers so freely for us to read, it was nice for me to be surprised at something, right?
Right. No, I feel you. Well, for me, man, say his name and he appears. And he
Yeah, Joe
actually did.
Hendry.
Good old Joe
He
Hendry.
came.
I was actually surprised with that one, and in a great way, just because I think a lot of people anticipated him not showing. I think he was also because he was actually booked for the Jericho Cruise that same weekend, so it was
Right.
almost like don't bet yourself on him showing up because he's got other prior obligations. And yeah, like crazy enough, he shows up. I was like, even if it was just for a few minutes, clearly he got eliminated by the tribal chief. And still, to me, that was probably like a big moment, just because having somebody that has made a name for himself outside of an actual promotion, doing his thing on YouTube, making music and all that stuff. It's crazy, like the year he's had, going back and forth on NXT, and clearly now he's TNA's world champion. But to actually be there at the Rumble, representing TNA. This partnership that they have, it's just like a win-win for everybody here. Like I was a big fan of it, hearing it, and not a better way to showcase that by having their men's world champion. Because I know, like with Jordan Grace last year, her being the champion, representing for the women's Rumble. This year I think they did it real well. Joe showing up, definitely getting a nice pop himself. So yeah, big surprise for me. Any other like? How'd you feel about like some of the other like the legends that showed up, like Nikki and Trish?
It was okay.
Yeah?
I'll be honest. It was okay.
Okay.
Trish, I was a little surprised Trish showed up, but not surprised that I'm not totally surprised. Trish, I was kind of, but not really, because Trish, she was active in the roster, not just a year ago, so it was pretty recent. So I wasn't surprised. I might get hate for this.
Speak your mind.
I scoffed when Nikki came out.
Number 30.
I was like, really? You wasted 30 on Nikki Bella? I mean, I get it. She probably has a lot of ring rust, and
That's true. That's true.
All I'm saying is that it's never been a better time to be a wrestling fan for men's and women's wrestling, because
Absolutely.
both sides are super stacked.
Yes.
And I mean extremely stacked.
Yeah, I agree. Like
I mean, hey, nothing against Nikki, bro. She's a legend, but
Right.
I'm just saying the women's roster is stacked.
No, I think to your point though, like having such a deep roster, such a deep talented roster for that matter, and you still had NXT representing. It was hard to say who you wanted in versus who you wanted out. I'm sure we can name a few, but I'm not trying to nitpick at this point, because genuinely I thought it was a really good Rumble, like for both. I don't.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
I want to call out the fact that like there was that one spot with Ludwig Kaiser. I think he was eliminated shortly, but I think honestly that he probably took the spot for JD because of JD's injury so recently. I think he probably was just like a last minute pinch hitter for him. So
more than likely,
I didn't expect him to really do anything for that matter. Outside of that, like I think I'm trying to think for the men's, like who really like came out as a surprise, but. I think, like, if anything, like for the men's, I think there were some moments, like, that stood out to me. Like clearly number 1, number 2, Penta and Ray. Yeah, I know people are gonna probably talk about the botch, but I'm not even focused on that part.
Hey, it is what it is.
Dude,
it is what it is. It recovered.
It recovered. Like people want to say he's out. All right, it's cool, but what's done was done.
No, this is his first.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, it's his first Rumble.
Yeah, like cut the dude some slack. I at this point, it's just like I was just glad to see, like two legendary luchas, face to face, starting things off here, and then like making its way through the Rumble. You got like Jacob Fatu. You saw all like some of these like different like standoffs and stares out like with like different people. I think with him and AJ. I think he like clearly him and Roman. There was also like that moment with him and Bron, like that one kind of gave me a little bit of goosebumps just because the trajectory of like these two. I'm like they're I'm gonna probably even say this, like they're probably gonna main event WrestleMania at some point. You know, whether it's not against each other or for each other, just because of how well they've progressed. But yeah, like there was just teasers. You know what I mean?
Jacob Fatu 100% is gonna main event. Yeah, Jacob Fatu is 100% gonna main event WrestleMania one year.
Dude's got everything.
Guarantee.
He's got everything.
It may not be within the next 2-3 years, but he's gonna do it. 100%. He's gonna be in the main event.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say like it's next year or the year after. Give him some time. There's probably other people in line right now, but yeah, he's definitely gonna do it. Bron, I have no doubts.
Yep.
You know, dude had his moments also.
Yeah.
That spear on Roman, man, that was Heyman's reaction to it.
Yeah.
It's kind of
how was that spear on ice show speed?
That was near death.
There was no love, bro. There was no love in that spear.
I was surprised he ended up walking out just because.
No joke.
That was like on the level of Goldberg on Christian. I don't know if you remember that spear.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That was.
Yeah, I do.
Just flat out like deadly.
Yeah. That, like I said, no love in that spear, man.
I like Mortal Kombat fatality right there. He took him right out of his boots, man. And
100%.
Yeah, like and gosh, I can't even forget this part. Like, you know, there's just that entry where you had Roman and then Cena and then Punk show up and then Seth.
It was one after another.
Like, it's just like they knew how to pick at your emotions here, just because all these guys are just like the names after names. Like going back to what we said, man, like roster so deep.
Yeah.
So much aura just in that 4 names right there happening to be in the same ring at the same time. Which is crazy because now, like, you know, I do want to segue right into that whole situation with Punk, Seth, and Roman. You know, clearly we saw that Punk eliminated Roman and Seth, and then Punk got eliminated by Logan, but it did insinuate to Seth to that crazy ass double foot stomp on Roman. And then,
dude, that was nasty.
It was nasty.
That was nasty.
I thought that was like a botch too, but oh my gosh, yeah. That I was like really like looking at like, man, did Roman really get hurt from that? Because it was nasty. yeah. That looked it looked nasty. Like, I mean, no way to cut it, dude. It was just, I watched it and I was like, oh, did he really like double stomp him hard, or it looked bad? And if they actually pulled that off safely, I mean, dude, you know, they did a good job because that looked legit. I think it was just because of the fact that he still stomped him on the steps. So like, I think they would have like,
you could see it. You could see he landed.
Don't even try. Don't. I think damage is done, but you know, at the end of the day, that was pretty vicious looking. I would say
it was vicious looking.
But yeah, man, like, what do you think's gonna happen there?
It's a tough one.
Like, there's reports.
I wouldn't be surprised.
There are reports saying like that it's leading towards a triple threat, but I don't know how much I want to believe in that. So, what are you?
Me neither. I've heard that too about the triple threat. I don't know how much substance to that story with such a small amount of time we have till WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. How much they can build a story, you know, which would cause us as viewers to even care about it. You know what I mean? I know it's been long-term storytelling, but, and of course with Seth and Roman, it's obvious what the story is between them, right?
Absolutely.
This dates all the way back to the Shield.
Yep.
Seth and CM Punk started from when Punk came back, or I mean, even before then.
Right.
You know, Seth already had emotions about animosity towards Punk about the whole, you know, not calling him back and all this other stuff.
Right.
So we know there's a story behind Seth and Punk, but Punk and Roman, the only thing they really have connected together is that CM Punk. Paul Heyman owes Punk a favor from Roman, right? And we're assuming that later on down the line it's going to be Roman and Punk for the championship.
Yeah, it has to be for title. I don't see like Punk being like, hey, Paul, you know, you owe me that favor and I want to fight Roman for nothing. It's like,
right.
It has to be for something. And clearly with Roman not having a title right now, I don't think Punk's interested in that Ulafala. It'd be kind of weird, but at the same time,
definitely not.
It's like it has to be for something more meaningful, where it's either gonna be like, hey, maybe it's a main event spot. I don't know. Maybe it's for like an actual title, but not knowing like what title right now. Like Roman's got none. So yeah, it'd be kind of interesting. I personally don't put too much thought into like the triple threat because it does feel a little weird. I would just rather see Roman and Seth go at it because of the long-term storytelling. There's a lot more behind that, and I can feel like that has a major push for a major spot on Mania. But then that also leaves Punk a little, I guess, where is he going? Like, does Logan Paul insert himself into this
on the island of he'll be left on the island of irrelevancy and have no match for WrestleMania?
Right? Yeah, like it would clearly lean that way if he's not inserted into this equation. But I don't know. I think there's just like a big hole here that if you want to go Roman Seth, yeah, where do you put Punk here? But at the same time, he does still have an opportunity to win at Elimination Chamber. So there's that possibility. But I think now that we know Cena's not the Royal Rumble winner, it has to be Cena, right? I think it has to be in that direction. but
then again, so they're hyping Cena for Elimination Chamber, right? But WWE has been pretty good about pulling swerves on everybody, especially for the recent PLEs.
Yeah.
What if Cena doesn't win, right? So let's say Punk does win, then basically Cena, we just got to write him out for the rest of his last run, and then that's it, and that's how he's gonna go out.
Yeah, that'd be weird just because this is his last Mania.
It is.
I can't see
it is. It's his last Mania and his last run.
I can't see him doing anything less than actually going after a title at Mania, and not like just any title. It has to be for the world title or WWE title,
And imagine him versus Gunther. That would be a banger of a match.
It's funny because I think so. Some people are feeling like, oh, Gunther doesn't need that. I'm like, well, let's think about this real quick. Because Gunther, being the champ that he is, who has he really fought that has really elevated him? Because in my opinion, Gunther's elevated others because of the person that he has built himself up to be. And he hasn't had like a high-profile match. Against Cena would be the high-profile match. That would be something that put 100%. Him over the moon and put him to almost, not necessarily GOAT level, but hey, you know what? You got that win against Cena at WrestleMania. Not much can actually say that. So I personally would love the idea if Cena did go after Gunther, and then clearly that would leave the opportunity for Jay to go after Cody. But it also could work the other way around too, which, it's kind of predictable or it feels a little but I wouldn't actually mind seeing Cena against Cody. That would be pretty cool. And there's always that little, like heel arc, of Cody, because dude's been kind of teasing a little bit of that crazy side, like he's been going like a little Homelander. A lot of people went Homelander and Kevin Owens.
Let me throw this out here.
Yeah.
Just an idea. There's just an idea. So, to your point about Gunther elevating everybody and not having somebody to really challenge him, that's exactly how I've been feeling about his title reign. Is that I don't feel like anybody. Me personally, I think to have a really good title run, you gotta feel like there's threats. And Gunther has always been the threat. You know what I mean?
Very much.
He's been the threat to everybody.
Yep.
When he was Intercontinental Champion, he was the threat.
True.
And we were looking for somebody to take him down. And as of right now, there's really hasn't been a threat to Gunther.
True.
But put Cena in the picture, and Cena is, Cena's a fucking dragon slayer. You know what I mean? Cena takes down everybody. Yeah. So that feels like a legitimate threat, which is what I think would be good for Cena and Gunther to have a match. And then that leaves Jay and Cody to have a match, which would leave Jay to possibly beat Cody. And if Jay beats Cody, that would be a perfect time for Cody to, especially because Jay's gonna go in as the favorite, right?
Absolutely.
And Cody spent the last year being a babyface. and expecting all the cheers and everything, and he's gonna get booed out of WrestleMania. You know what I mean?
It's
and
crazy.
Let him go crazy after that.
Yeah, it is crazy to think because I would say like since he returned to WWE, he's been the baby face. He's been the face, right? And
right.
Yeah, like to see that turn where and to my point here, I would say is no better way to go full heel, go full Homelander than taking out one of the biggest faces right now on the roster. The one guy that's truly over with the crowd. Like it's easy to do the things you're doing right now against like a Kevin Owens, but Kevin Owens is a heel. But just to hear the heat on Cody doing something similar like that on Jay would definitely be a very nice arc to him being heel. So I'm on board. If they want to go that route, I'm cool with it. If they gotta go Gunther Cena, I'm cool with that. And then,
but I mean, like I said, it could go either way. It could go. It could be a Cena versus Cody, and it'd be more of a passing of the torch match.
Yes.
Which I don't think. I don't think a lot of people want to see that.
I don't think it's necessarily needed because I think the torch thing. Gosh, it's just weird because like hasn't been around, right? And it's funny to think like, oh, now he's coming back to, he's granted he's going to end his career this year, but to just come back all of a sudden and like say, oh, here, I'm passing the torch to you, it feels kind of weird. It feels kind of weird just because Cody's been the workhorse. Cody's been there. He's kind of doing what Cena has been such a big advocate of as a champion. You know what I mean? Like he talked about being present in WWE, and I think I want to say he also gave a lot of shit towards The Rock for being that part-timer at one point.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of like the roles have reversed. I know like Cena's kind of backtracked on those comments because he's kind of in that position himself. But yeah, like passing the torch thing, I can do without. I don't think they really need that. But I can also see the heel arc coming from that match also, just because it's Cena's last year. And if you want to send Cena out, going Homelander on him, why not?
Yeah, that could work. That could work. Yeah, that could work. Cody going crazy, being like, this is what you always stood for, and you had to come in and rain on my parade, and just go crazy. I can see that happening.
Yeah, no, I'm on board with any of these things because I guess like right now, like where it leaves us is the unpredictability, and I think whatever outcome it is, like we're either going to be surprised. I don't feel like there's going to be a lot of room for disappointment based on these certain circumstances. But at the end of the day, I'm kind of like, I'm on board with what they're doing right now, the trajectory of all of this stuff. But I'll say this.
Yeah, for sure. Me too.
Seems like one person that doesn't seem to be fond of all this right now is Drew McIntyre. I don't know if you've been kind of following that story.
Oh, man. I have been following that. And you know what? Drew, it's either he's so good at his character that it's hard to tell if he's kayfabing or not.
Too good.
Yeah, it's just it's hard to tell at this point. You know what I mean? Drew he just fits into his character so good that I'm having a hard time telling if they're just ribbing us. You know what I mean? Or if if he's legit pissed off.
Dude, man, it just feels like whole Survivor Series again. Like him running out at the end of the match. Like nobody even really knew why he was throwing a tantrum, but the fact that he just left the arena, it's just like, why does this sound so repetitive? And then I forgot which source it was, but all of a sudden, some people were kind of killing the story, are just like, everything's okay now. Everything's all cool.
Probably Sportskeeda.
Something, not trying to show shade on anybody that's claiming that this story was real, but it just feels weird. And I think, like, I guess for the backstory of it supposedly was LA Knight that pissed him off because he was trying to like.
So I seen the clip.
Yeah, what did you say?
Yeah, I seen the clip. Well, I went back and watched it because it's one of those things that when you're in the midst of watching the Royal Rumble, you would kind of glaze over it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I went back after hearing the complaint. I went back and watched that specific section, and I'll be honest, the camera crew did a good job. I mean, I get it that LA Knight was in the shot, But I don't feel like it lessened the impact because I felt like the camera crew was there when they needed to be, so they caught the surprise and the whole, stare down between Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre. Like how Drew was like, "Oh, you eliminated me." He was giving the big eyes. Yeah, I mean, but like I said, I get it. During the elimination part where he was being thrown over, LA Knight was in the shot, but once he went over, camera crew was there where they needed to be. So if Drew is mad about it, I don't want to say he's overreacting, but he might be a little bit.
I think it's a work, bro.
I think it is too. I think it is too.
If it's not a work, it's just exaggerated at this point. I think that it's a reach because it just doesn't justify like what I saw. Like I know how you explained it. I thought like the cameras were where they were supposed to be, and yeah, like it did seem like, I guess if you really look into it, yeah, LA Knight was kind of like in the, I guess, the mix there, but I just don't see what he really did that really justified it based on what was reported. Because supposedly the elimination was supposed to be impacting a storyline or impacting a reaction that was taken away from Drew and the moment. I'm like, but like, what was it? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like the crowd didn't even. I didn't even hear the crowd react a certain way where it was like they were confused or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's a reach.
No,
I think it's a reach.
Yeah, no, I think it is a reach too. Because like, I think regardless of if LA Knight was in the shot or not, I think I would have reacted the same way. And it's a spot I would have noticed. They weren't totally blocked out. I saw it, but it was more pronounced after he got thrown out and the cameramen were doing the camera work. But yeah, I don't think the LA Knight being in the shot made too big of an impact, if any, on the reaction that they got from that whole spot right there.
Right. And to add on to this, like now I'm seeing like reports, like multiple sources are saying that it's kind of like Drew lined up to face Priest at WrestleMania, and Drew's not happy about it. So I'm just
I've seen those too.
I'm like, so wait, was he upset at Knight? Was he upset at Priest? Is he just butthurt that he ended up being the result of all of this? Like, what is it?
Right. I mean, if Drew is legit upset about where his booking is going right now, I can kind of see it, dude. He's actually been he's a workhorse, dude. He's been putting out bangers. You know what I mean? He constantly. I don't want to say he's put out a bad match in a while. At the very least, it's been okay. It's been okay at worst, really good at best. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, bro, hands down. And I have told you this before. Drew McIntyre took part in one of my most favorite matches of all time. The Drew McIntyre versus Gunther versus Sheamus. That was just a beatdown of a match.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And Drew has shown that he can put out. So I mean, if he's a little frustrated, I get it. You know, he's definitely owed a lot. He's a workhorse.
He is, but man, I just don't see any of these recent events justifying like him wanting to even like react that way. Let alone it's just like,
nah, I don't think so either.
Yeah, it's just like now and then. Like I'm sure like people, you know, in the IWC is gonna start. Oh, you know, like Drew's gonna leave for AEW. Like people are gonna start that shit.
Nah,
it's just like now it's nonsensical, you know. Like let's be honest.
I don't see that happening.
I still kind of go back to the fact that it's reach. Drew's done some great work. Clearly, like I do see that as a possibility though. Actually, him and Priest, whether he's happy about that or not, I understand. Clearly, Priest eliminated him for the Rumble. They can go off of that, but at the same time, you know, they're on the SmackDown roster. If I'm not mistaken, Drew's on SmackDown also, and I wouldn't mind seeing a program with them too. You know, like they're two guys like almost the same physical stature. You know, former champions coming off of WrestleMania. Oh, actually, well, like you know, granted, he did cash in on them, so that's true. Tie that back into the whole thing too. But nonetheless, yeah, I don't see nothing wrong with that being a match.
You know what? And you know what? I was just thinking about it. That would be a good way for them to boost up Drew. So let Drew and Priest have a match at WrestleMania, and make Drew's attitude about it be like, hey, listen, Priest, this is what you did to me last year at WrestleMania. This is what I'm gonna do to you this year in WrestleMania. I'm coming for you,
Yep.
and once I'm done with you, whoever's the champion from Gunther and Cena, I'm coming after you.
Yeah.
And then who better to beat Cena than Drew?
Hey, cut that promo.
Elevate him.
Cut that promo. Let him know. Let him know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No,
That's
yeah,
what I'm
it's
saying.
true. That's true, though. That's probably the best way to look at it. Priest took away multiple WrestleMania moments or opportunities from Drew, right? He took away his moment last year after he won the title, cashed in on him, and then he just took away that other opportunity to go main event WrestleMania this year at the Royal Rumble by eliminating him. So, yeah, clearly there's some footing behind it. I think there's a great story there, and nonetheless, I think that would be a great matchup. Doesn't have to be for a title. Just see two guys beat each other up. I'm good for that. I'm good for that.
Same here. I'm good for that.
Yeah. Which I kind of want to close on this one here because I didn't anticipate on talking about this, but Kevin Owens, man. Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes. Clearly, Cody won the match at Rumble. Both took hell of a bumps. Gosh, they utilized ladders in ways I never thought. Those two guys at their age specifically would use ladders. But then Kevin Owens shows up the next night on Raw, goes after Sammy, which was kind of odd too, just because we did see Sammy during the match at Rumble, not really being involved, but kind of just looking out for Kevin here and there, almost teased as if he was going to do something to either Cody or Kevin. It kind of left us guessing, but ended up not doing anything but checking in on Kevin. And yeah, Raw next night, Kevin just attacks him at the end of the show. So
yeah,
what's happening here? What do you think?
Ooh, yeah. You know what? When I saw Kevin attack Sammy on Raw, I was like, man, I guess that was the logical move to move Kevin Owens into his next feud with somebody. And who perfect than Sammy? Because of course those two have ties since forever.
Right.
So the fact that and I can see the promos that Kevin Owens can cut on Sammy about you saw where I was at the end of that match. Why didn't you stand up for me? Why didn't you do this? Yada yada yada. You know what I mean? So I can see Kevin Owens cutting some pretty deep promos on Sammy. Yeah, Sammy's gonna eat it until close to WrestleMania. Sammy's gonna eat it for a couple of weeks. Then Sammy's probably gonna be like, I was always there for you, and if this is how you're gonna treat me, then you leave me no choice. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you why, why I'm Sammy Uso. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And they're just gonna go at. They're gonna go at it. They're gonna have a banger.
Yeah, I think thinking about that whole story also, Kevin, I felt watching their match, or actually watching him and Cody, and thinking to myself why is Sammy there? And I almost feel like with the outcome, it's Kevin could definitely come with the angle of, I didn't need you. Why were you there? Everything was going fine until you showed up. You know what I mean? I think he has grounds to probably spin it that way and make Sammy feel like he wasn't a factor at all, or let alone he tried to be a factor, but clearly didn't help him out. There's also that whole bloodline thing, right? Sammy chose to help out Roman.
Right.
He aligned himself with the bloodline after all the drama they went through prior to that, years before. So I think clearly there's a lot of footing going on with this, long-term storytelling again. And I think they've never had a match against each other at Mania, if I'm not mistaken. They did main event the tag team match against the Usos 2 years ago, back in Hollywood. So I think having them showcase a match against each other at a Mania would be pretty cool. You agree?
That would be good. And you know what? They're gonna have a banger match. And bringing up that Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens versus the Usos at WrestleMania 39, bro. That was a fire match. That was, to me, that was a 10 out of 10. They played it right. That was a good match.
Yeah, then you know, like we kind of mentioned this earlier, going back to the beginning, talking about how Jay's like great, you know, in tag team action. You know, him and his brother, the chemistry they have, and clearly that was a hell of a main event. You know, I was grateful being there live, you know, at SoFi. Dude, you know, like that crowd was so hot for their win.
It was hot.
It was hot, and good Lord, you know, it definitely capped off the night on such a high note. But the chemistry, the storytelling, it's there, and we'll see what happens. I think they're gonna kind of like lean towards that, but who knows? Who knows what they got in store for us? Because it almost seems like everything that we talked about today just seems like there's a little uncertainty, even though we want to be a little sure. But
yeah,
there's a lot of time between now and Mania. So
right, exactly. There's a lot of time between now and Mania, and like we've been talking about, right? That WWE has been really good at pulling off some swerves within the last year, and you know, as a WWE fan, right? We like to predict a lot of stuff, and that's the nature of being a fan. But man, you know what I mean? Like in the 2 months, so much can change within that 2 months.
Yes,
we never know, bro. Cody and Gunther could possibly not be the champions by then. You know what I mean? Just so much that could change. I don't think they'll ever go that far, but I'm just saying that within those 2 months, a lot of stuff can change, and I don't want to call it yet, but there's a lot of ways that this can go, and I'm excited for it.
Hey, like they say, right? Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, man, we might as well close it on that note.
Sounds good to me.
Yes,
thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Yes, sir. That was our very first episode, and I thought it went really well.
No, I thought it did too. I loved it, bro. I love the conversations.
Good shit. This is not definitely the last one, but
no way.
I'm glad we've got the first one in.
Hell yeah, me and you both, bro. You know, hey, bro, I was thinking about this all day, man. I'm glad we did it.
Same here, man. But, you know, the funny thing is, like, I was just, like, playing it through my head the whole time. Like, how is this going to look like? How is this going to end up being like? And I'm like, you know what? Being a lifelong fan and been talking about this nonstop, I'm just glad we got this going. We got the ball rolling, and
yeah, same here.
Keep it going.
Yeah, bro. Let me know when you get this up, bro. I'm excited to watch it. Brian,
yes, sir.
Get Jay on here, bro.
I know, man. These guys, they be slacking, never lacking.
I'm telling you, bro.
We'll keep it going.
Yep, 100%, bro.
All right. Well,
all right, brother.
Throw the ones up, and we out.